What's up, everybody? How are we doing tonight? Open up the game tab. I hear game sound. Well, I would hope you would hear game sound. Can you hear the sounds? If you can't hear game sound, that's the problem. So, alright. We are back continuing our campaign mode playthrough. This is the homebrew campaign mode that me and a couple other users came up with. And so the mission we're doing today, we are sending a probe on a flyby course right past Siloro. And actually, no, we completed that mission, didn't we? So we're doing the next one. Hello, Boom, GN6, Nova. Good to see you guys here tonight. How's everyone doing? So no, we did complete that mission, if I remember correctly. So let's go over to the bank. Actually, we could probably go look at the other. What was the next mission that we were going to pick up? Does anyone remember? Did I say it at the end of the last one? I think I did. Was it putting a one in orbit? Siloro probe. Siloro surveyor. I think that was the one we were going to do, was Siloro surveyor. For $15 million, 1,000 to 2,000 kilogram spacecraft. Has to have the following equipment. Radio dish. Ooh, that's a big boy. At 100,000 meters apoapsis and periapsis circular orbit, 90 degrees inclination, so a polar orbit around Siloro for $15 million. That's gonna be a bit of a challenge, but I think we can do it. So I've got a launcher here. I have devised a system that is pretty cost effective for getting something to Siloro. And I had whipped up a little probe, but we may need to redesign this guy. This was the probe I was going to send, but we needed to send, what was it, a spectrometer? That was the only scientific equipment we needed to put on, was a spectrometer, which we have an actual, like, official spectrometer part. And did it say a radio antenna as well? A radio antenna. Okay, so what we'll do, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of a little bit of the excess equipment I put on this. We're not going to use this as a radio antenna. So I'm going to grab this guy. Let me. There we go. Grab that guy. That guy's gone. We're not going to use him as a radio antenna. What we are going to do is use these two booms as a type of high frequency radio antenna. So those will be our radio antennas. They're pretty nice. They are tinkered down a little bit in mass just to make them realistic. So these portions are 0 kilograms, and then these portions are a kilogram apiece, but that actually makes sense for what it is. Since it's a radio, it's literally just like wire. It shouldn't weigh a ton. So what we're going to do is we need to get the spectrometer part, which I think I still have. Yes, I do. This guy. We need to attach him to the rockets. What we're going to do, part connections, I'm going to turn all the part connections off except for this one. And then we can connect him that way. And then I need to rotate him. Rotate this guy so that he doesn't interfere with those booms. Oh, he's going to interfere anyway. Well, that's okay. We can get around that. No, boom. You know what, Boom? I saw in the chat earlier you were saying that I haven't named an astronaut after you, and I did say that I would. The reason that I haven't is just because I haven't launched any astronauts in like months. So there has literally not been an opportunity to name one after you. But here, I'll do you one. We're going to name this space probe after you. It'll be the Boom space probe, because I've already said it like 5 or 6 times. So we're going to go with that. That's gigantic. It's a big... Yeah, so these fold out. It's like cupped like this right now, and then it folds out and makes like a parabolic antenna. At least that's the design behind it. It's heavy, though. You're not that heavy. Never mind. Okay, hold on. We're gonna... How much does this probe weigh right now? 455 kilograms. That's a pretty good weight. 455 kilograms we can work with. And how much maneuvering delta V did I give it? Did I give it enough maneuvering delta V? I have to re-enable attachment points. There we go. 152 meters per second. That's not a lot. It's not a lot. Make this a little wider. Size this fuel tank up a bit. 200 meters per second. That's like, I don't know. We're talking like very fine adjustments here. Go 0.6. 0.6. And 0.4. 253. Maybe, can we get that up to 362? A little much. Let's get that just down to 300. That works. All right, 0.5. That's a pretty good size fuel tank here, and then the rest of the probe is set up. We have the spectrometer. Nice. Yeah, finally get something named after you. All right, we're gonna one of these booms is not clipping properly. Let's take it back there. There we go. Okay. Maybe make this a little longer even. Oops, hold on. Undo that. That's fine. Leave me alone. Part connections, no, auto resize off. There we go. Make that longer. Yeah, so those will stick out a good ways. And then just tuck this back. Is that clipping through? I need to move my camera so I can see what I'm doing here. Like that. Okay, now we're clear. Okay, so that's the probe pretty much done. That has everything we need, right? We need, on the contract, a spectrometer, radio antenna, gyroscopes. Oh, we need gyroscopes. We've got solar panels. We do need gyroscopes. We do need a way of controlling the attitude of our spacecraft. That's probably smart to have on here. I don't think I already added them yet, so we'll add those next. We enable part connections. Thank you. There we go. All right, where should we put the gyroscopes? We could probably put them on this spot right here in the probe. I will grab part. We'll make it small at first, and then we'll scale it up as needed. But I don't need a big gyroscope for this rover. No, there's not this rover, but this probe. How powerful does that? That's not powerful. That's powerful. That's probably fine. We don't need a ton of gyroscope power here. So we'll go with, and we'll put 2 of those on. So that'll be plenty. Tuck that in like that. Do 2-way symmetry. And let's just do the channels texture. That's fine. Okay. Will this fit in the fairing? It should fit. Hold on. We need to do part connections again. There we go. Let's see how it looks in the fairing. Nice. I'm using the fairing space well. All right. So we've got our payload sitting in the payload bay. We have 8,000 meters per second of delta V, which I don't know if that's going to be enough. We're at 7.2 million. So we've got a little bit more than half the budget still available to us, but I want to keep it as low as possible. We could do SRBs. We could do another stage. So I'm torn between those 2 options. What's our thrust to weight ratio? First stage 1.81, so that would have enough. We could add another stage to this guy. 1 meter per second thrust to weight, or not 1 meter per second, but a 1.04 thrust to weight ratio on our second stage. This guy right here. Let's see, interstage fairing base. Let's put the Mage engine there and then have the fairing separate sooner. And then this guy and this guy can go together. That makes more sense. We could, all right, what do you guys think? Should we do another stage? I could put one between here, just a little kick stage. Like let the first 2 stages get us to orbit. Or actually no, the first stage alone gets us almost to orbit. Almost. The second stage has more than enough to get us to orbit, but I don't think it has enough to get us. And it has enough to get us to Siloro, but I don't think it has enough to stop us. All right, hold on. We're gonna consult the delta V map, and I have a calculator because I need to figure this out. What is what do I have to work with here? New system mapping calculators. Let's take a look at this guy. Circularization costs. Home and transfer cost. Oh, it's not on this. It's not on that. Where is... There's an actual picture. Hold on. I need to find a picture. I think I know where to find it. You guys are just looking at the game screen, and that's fine. You guys can keep looking at the game screen. This won't take too long, hopefully. Where would it be? Search help, maybe? Delta V map. This link should take me there. Delta V map. We're going to do some actual additions. Yeah, maybe just the SRBs would be good. Well, the SRBs don't give you a ton more Delta V is the problem. Or at least that's the problem in my mind, is they just... I don't know. It seems like they would give you more, but it only gives you a little bit more. All right, here's RD's Delta V map. So to get to Drew orbit, Drew synchronous orbit is 1,500 meters per second. What? That seems low. All right, it says 1,500. Oh no, Drew synchronous orbit. 4,000 meters to get into orbit. That's right, 4,000 meters to get into orbit. And then we need... Where is Siloro? Siloro. There it is. 1,200 to get to a flyby. 1,600 to get captured. 2,700 more to get into low Siloro orbit. This map shouldn't be used as reference for any sort of challenges or competitions. That's fine. All right, so 4,000. We're going to do some math. 4,000. Everyone break out your calculators. 4,000 plus 1,200 plus 400 plus 1,100 plus 2,700. I need a total Delta V budget for the mission of 9,400 meters per second to get into... Or no, minus 2,700 because I don't need a land. I added the landing section as well. 6,700 meters per second? That seems low. All right, does 60... All right, someone who is better at this game than I am, which should be most of you, someone tell me if 6,700 meters per second makes sense for a Delta V budget to Siloro. Because then this would technically have enough. I see GN6 is in the chat, and he's usually pretty smart. You should know. All right, in the meantime, I'm going to do another stage. I think that is the smart thing to do in this situation, is to do another stage. Part connections. Go away, please. It does, you think? Okay. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like 6,700... I guess I give myself a lot more margin for error when I do missions and stuff. In Spain, 0.013... No, you're talking about something else. Never mind. Okay, so let's do another stage. I'm going to grab another fuel tank. Oh, hold on. There we go. Now it'll connect. Okay, so we'll do a pretty small stage with a pretty small engine. We'll start with the gas generator. And I think the gas generator is actually pretty efficient for what we're going to go for here, which is a tiny gas generator stage right there. And that should be all we need. We'll make our beveled stage there. Grab it. Someone put this in the comments of the aesthetics video that I released last weekend, or last week. Was it last week? It might have been more recent than that. I think it was last week. Earlier. The aesthetics, the rocket aesthetics video that I released earlier, and said that, because the way that I used to reconnect these things, I did this the worst way, apparently. was auto resize. You would take auto resize off, and then you would grab it there and connect it to the bottom of that tank, and then like drag it up to meet it. But apparently, and when they suggested it, it made a whole lot of sense. That also works, and then you can just connect it right there every time, and it's so much nicer. Oh, Excalibur's got to go. All right, bud, have a good night. Take care. Okay, so what does this give us? What does this give us? Less delta V somehow? Somehow we have way less delta V. Oh, it's because our staging's all crazy again. Oh, shoot. Okay, so we've got engines. And then inner stage, we're going to put those all on one for now. Put the fairing on its own. Okay. Engines, inner stage, then these guys, then inner stage. And then that guy. There we go. There we go. All right, so we've got almost 9,000. I think that will do us for this rocket. Yeah, it's a, oh no, it's a bigger rocket. Oh yes, it's a bigger rocket, all right. We're gonna do, just for the aesthetics here, because we've got the thrust to do it. Wait, I need to do this in the right order. Come on. You did it earlier, come on. There we go. And then grab, 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 and then grab, grab, grab. Slightly bigger rocket. 8,420 meters per second. Can I say yes? Yes, I can say yes. Is that enough yes for you? I hope you're not going to use that for nefarious purposes. Alright, we don't need that anymore. I think we're ready to launch this guy. I think we are ready to launch this bad boy. Check the staging one more time because I'm paranoid like that. Alright, 4 main booster engines down here are going to ignite. We've got 1.72 thrust to weight ratio lifting off the pad, which is plenty. And then our fairing would go off. If I were you, I would turn off attachment points I won't use. Yeah, and I do that sort of backwards. Like I do it the bad way, which is if I'm like trying to get the attachment point that I want and it's not cooperating, I'll turn off every other attachment point and then turn on just the attachment point of the thing that I'm trying to work with. So like with a lot of small parts that are all in the way, I'll just turn everything off and then turn on only the part that I want to work with. Is there anything new in Simple Rockets 2? Campaign mode was announced and it's coming out this year, but nothing has actually been added to the game recently. Okay, so fairing comes off, and then we have our second stage, and then our third stage, and then our upper stage for 7.3 million. That is relatively cheap. Decent thrust to weight ratios on everything. That should get us into orbit just fine. We could make this tank. Why is that kerosene? Oh. Well, no wonder it lowered my thrust to weight ratio. This is the wrong fuel type. Xenon. There we go. I'm glad I caught that. I was wondering why my delta V went down when I added more fuel tanks. Because these engines, we're using the stock engine overhaul mod, and these engines are running on ethanol. I need to make sure this is also running on ethanol. There it is, ethanol, which is a more efficient fuel. There we go. Ethanol, ethanol, ethanol. Ethanol. Okay. Ethanol. Okay, why do we still have a low? That's fine. Please make more Visi. Don't worry. We have a Visi video coming out this week. I actually have one in the wings ready to go. So that'll be getting released later this week. All right, I think we're going to take this to the launch pad. Let's make sure New Space Center launch pad, and we will go. All right. Once it loads. Once it loads. Once it loads, come on. Come on, once it loads. It's almost there. I believe in it. Why is this taking so long? It usually doesn't take this long. I guess I am reloading the world. Oh. What's the current mission objective? We're going to put a satellite, a probe around, in orbit around Siloro. That's the plan. Once it loads. It's saying not responding. We're going to be patient. I'm not going to click on it. I'm just going to wait. Usually it'll respond. Usually it responds. Close that. We don't need that no more. Okay. It can do it. It can do it. I can believe in it. While we're waiting for the game to load, how are you guys doing? What's up? What's going on? Any questions? You guys want to know what the how to do Visi video is this week is? What the topic that we're covering is next week is? Just waiting. Just waiting. I think the latency on the stream's a little high. Come on. Marslight, I'm not ignoring you. I read your comment. And I told you that we've got another Visi video coming. There's just, yeah, there is a ton of latency. So I think I reply to a comment, or you guys will put a comment. I think it's like, I timed it with a friend, and it was like 45 seconds latency using the normal latency. Oh, whoa, something happened. All I heard was a bunch of interstages just go off all at the same time. No, it's here. It's here. Oh, I know what happened. I know what happened. Hold on. Did it? Yep. That's why it took so long. No, the booms. The booms fell off. Here, while we're looking at it, I'll show you what this little antenna is supposed to look like. It's kind of nice. So that's what happened. Okay, hold on. End flight. Oh, no. Yeah, 10 to 30 seconds. I think on the higher end for 30 seconds. I did one live stream where I set it to low latency because it's an actual setting. If I use normal latency, the stream is more stable. Higher latency means it's more stable because in the times that like the connection's weak, it'll use that latency to buffer on my end so that you guys don't see the buffering. And then when the connection's strong, it'll like catch back up. But it's kind of a fail. Hold on, we need to go through here. So here's the problem. I set these to have a stage. And I realize now that's an issue. Or I set it to not, there's no staging activation, which I don't know what the deal is with this game, but sometimes when I say a part has no staging activation, the game's like, oh, so that means you don't want it to stage. And then the other half of the time, it takes that to mean, oh, you want it to stage right away. And so it's just super annoying. So now we have all of these guys, which I'm just going to add to their own stage at the very top of the flight order. And then I don't know what that guy's for. And now we have now we have like 500 more meters per second of delta V. That's weird. Yeah, it takes more Wi-Fi. It doesn't necessarily take more Wi-Fi. It's just if your Wi-Fi slows down a little bit, your stream's going to feel it right away. So what? I think that'll fix it. All right, we're going to put that back. Oh, I remember what that empty stage was for. Duh, it's for my fairing that I took off. Put the fairing back on, dummy. Wait, why is it so low all of a sudden? Fairing base. Does the fairing make that much of a difference? Wow, I guess it does. How heavy is this thing? 253, 572. Can we make this smaller? Maybe that'll help with our budget a little bit. That's as small as I can get it. Okay, we're going to launch it. And now it shouldn't crash the game by trying to activate 14 interstages as soon as it loads. So it should load a little smoother now. There we go. That's much nicer. Okay, we fixed the problem. The craft didn't explode that time. We're all good. Yeah, so you can, I think you can set it to be like ultra high latency. The normal latency is tolerable for reading chat. Low latency and ultra low latency are nice. It all depends on how much you want to interact with people in the stream, in the live stream. Please make the expressions busy. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I wanted to do a. So I've done 3 videos so far on how to do Visi that cover like foundational stuff. So the expressions and custom functions one is probably going to be next after this one that I've already finished and have being released soon. What are these 2 crafts that we have here? Or are those the ones that passed by Siloro earlier? What's this guy? New and new 81. Okay, so yeah, that's the old probe. This is our target. We're going to target him. I need a 48. I need a 48 degree transfer angle. So Siloro needs to be ahead of me by 48 degrees. So we're coming up. That's 180. Oh, you know what time it is, everyone? It is protractor time. Where's my protractor? Hold on, let's slow time down a little bit so it doesn't get away while I'm looking over here, fumbling through this cluttered drawer. Where's my protractor? Uh-oh. You know what? We can use a straight edge and some math. Here's a checkbook. We're going to use a checkbook as a protractor. Because I can do a right angle, and then I can do half of a right angle and estimate it. So that should be... That's about 90 degrees right there. So I want to half that. Okay, that should be our transfer angle right there. If not, it's close enough to make it work. I'm going to launch the rocket. And we are going off nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. I'm going to turn the volume of that down a little bit. Actually, turn that up. Turn this volume down. There we go. There we go. All right, so we're going. We're launching. It's going smooth. We're going to pitch over pretty hard now. And there's Siloro in the distance. That's what we're aiming for. Let's look at the map. Recenter on my guy. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. 7-8 kilometers. Going strong. I'm gonna do that one. No, not protractor. Yeah, protractor's gone, but I have a blank checkbook here, which I'm not gonna let you see the inside of. I don't know where my protractor went. It's got to be somewhere like in this general vicinity around me. Protractors are an essential part of space navigation. It's not just something you do in middle school geometry, people. Okay, we'll switch to an orbital frame of reference. Yeah, our time to apoapse is looking good. I'm gonna pitch over hard now. Let me carry myself on that way. Stage that a little early. We're launching on the night side, so it's hard to see what we're doing. Alright, second stage, lifting us up into orbit, is going. And we'll do a prograde vector for it for now. Because it's got a positive thrust-weight ratio, or a greater than 1 thrust-weight ratio now, but it is underpowered compared to our first stage, so we're going to need a little bit more out of it. But we're coming up on orbital velocity here. I'm going to throttle down. Set my to 0 there. We're going to coast into it now. Nice and slow. Just a nice, gentle approach into orbit. Nothing crazy here. Is the sun? No, we're a little ways from the horizon still. Okay, as we get close to apoapse, I'll throttle all the way up. Oops. And by throttle all the way up, I mean stage. We're on our third stage now. And that puts us in orbit. We have 4,000 meters per second of delta V to work with on this stage. So that's pretty good. That wasn't a perfect launch to orbit. That's a pretty good launch to orbit, though. So while we're here, let's go ahead and do two things. I want to lower my booms like that. So my booms are deployed. Oh, hold on. I'm going to deploy the actual sensors here, and then I'm going to manually turn these off. And then we'll reset this guy, turn on, and flip the other way with that. So those solar panels are a little covered up. I guess I underestimated how big that guy is. But they can be like displayed a little bit out. We don't need a ton of electricity generation, so that's fine. We could zero them, honestly. They can be tucked in for now. Okay, we got 3,984 meters per second of delta V. We're in orbit around Drew. It's time to start planning our escape burn. What is our thrust to weight ratio right now? 0, because we're not thrusting. Ugh, booms. Yeah, that's what they are. They're boom antennas. It's a thing. It's like a boom mic, you know. It's a thing. I'm not just making it up. My sensitivity is at 2%. That's nice. Let's bring that up a little bit. There we go. All right, so that is... Where is... Oh, I think we just had it there. Yep, that might be it right there already. I think our inclination is good to go too. Yeah, inclination is good. I'm going to turn craft orbits off because we're a little cluttered here. That was it right there. Okay, so turn sensitivity down. Right there. Right there. So we catch it on the second side of the craft, or not the craft, but the second of two intercepts with the Siloro orbit is where we catch it right there. So I'm going to undershoot this burn by we'll go down to 1900 meters per second. Then we'll do a second burn. I know you're just gonna have to assume that I'm not until I will say boom 1 2 3 if I'm talking to you in the chat, and I will say boom if I'm talking about equipment on the spacecraft. How about that? Does that clear it up well enough for you? Okay, so we started our burn. Hopefully, it says accuracy medium, which doesn't inspire a ton of confidence with me. Hopefully this doesn't accidentally like destroy our orbit. It shouldn't. No, we're fine. Yeah, our periapsis is dropping, but we're up at 100 kilometers. If we were at 60 kilometers, almost on the nose, this wouldn't work. The other thing is we could break this up into two burns, but we're just gonna do it in one for now, because it'll work. Not too worried about it. Yeah, okay, so chat latency is like 25 to 30 seconds, because you just replied to what I said like 30 seconds ago, so that answers that question for us. All right, we are 50% of the way through this burn. Our engine is running nice and strong. Overcomplicating Life 101. Well, you chose you chose your name. I didn't choose your username, and I didn't choose what they call that, like, booms. I didn't choose for them to be called booms. I'll call them radio antennas. Okay, here we go. 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. Almost done with the burn. We're going to slow time just down a little bit. Slow time down a lot. Yeah, and we overshot it, as I predicted. So we're going to... But we didn't overshoot it as much as we could have. We still have 2,000 meters per second to go here. Let's go back to our craft. Can we plan an adjustment here that'll put us on track? Maybe our sensitivity is a little low. Let's go 8% for now. Okay, that 41 meters per second, a 4-second long burn. We'll warp to it, make our correction burn before we leave the sphere of influence of Drew. Light. I think we hit it. Okay, we're just going to time warp to the edge of the Drew system. Goodbye, Drew. There it is. Okay. Yes, we do have ourselves a intercept with Siloro. Not a great one. We need to make that a polar orbit. So what we're going to do is we're going to select a point along our orbital path here. And I'm going to choose my ascending node, it looks like. And then we're going to make some small adjustments to our orbit and see how they impact this guy. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get this right here, like square in the view. Okay, so that's a 9 meter per second adjustment. So that's what we're looking at right there, that little curve and where that falls. All right, so that's polar, almost polar right there, which is good. That's an 8 meters per second burn. We'll lock it in. Yeah, honestly, I've got school tomorrow as well, so why don't you punch into the atmosphere to slow down? Because atmospheric drag like that is really, really hard to account for, and I didn't have a heat shield or anything on this guy really ready to deal with that, so we're not going to try. So we're polar, but that's a 10,431 kilometer periapsis. Yeah, just don't burn out of existence. You say that, but that's very hard to accomplish. So now I'm going to select my apoapsis around the sun, and we're going to burn this way. No, we're not going to burn that way. I think, hold on. Destroy that. Let's just move towards it. Make a video on how to punch into. Are you talking about arrow braking maneuvers? Okay, yeah, we still got our polar trajectory there. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a burn node right here, and I'm just gonna try and get our periapsis lower. If I can do that. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,000. Oh, and now it's adjusting. So, yeah, that tells me that we're going the wrong way. Now we're too close. That's a polar orbit, I think. That pretty much sends me straight down. Yeah, that's... I've thought about doing arrow braking tutorial. The problem is it is so hard and like... Oops, I bumped my mic. So there's a lot of things in space travel that we can calculate. Like, we can actually calculate how to do a lot. One thing we cannot calculate is the equation for how high we need to be to actually make an arrow braking maneuver. Like we can't calculate it with pen and paper. When I say calculate, we can calculate it by running a giant simulation, and then a computer will run through iterations, and basically a computer will trial and error a bunch of different arrow braking entry solutions and then find one that works. So you would, that's how you would do it, is you would quick save, and then you would try it at one altitude and you would explode, and then you would raise your altitude a little bit and you'd like shoot out of the system. And so you would keep doing that over and over and over again, and then eventually you would get one that works. And that's how like we use computer modeling software to actually calculate those things because there's no way to just like know. Because it is a differential equation with several different dependent variables. So your altitude is going to impact not only like let's say your periapsis, right? Your periapsis before you hit the atmosphere is going to impact your total time in atmosphere. It's going to impact the density of the air that you're going to pass through. And then like when you adjust to a higher periapsis, it's not a linear effect because as you slow down, you fall deeper. And the farther you deeper, the more you slow down. So it's not just like, oh, if I go, if I set my periapsis to be 35 kilometers, then I'm going to drop, this much velocity. It's really, 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 really hard to just calculate. So the only way NASA does it is a computer model and trial and error. And so the reason that I have not tried to do a tutorial video is what would I tell people? Just like, hey, yeah, do this thing, and you're going to have to attempt it a bunch of times, and eventually one of the times is going to work, and then that's your good attempt. So I don't know. I'm apprehensive to attempt to tell people about things that I can't really do. Like the gravity assist tutorial video I did, I was very apprehensive to make that video because I don't use gravity assists a ton, and I'm not super good at them. So I practiced a bunch of gravity assists, got pretty good at like actually finding them and doing them, and then did a video of like, here's what I've noticed is if you time these things right. Yeah, there's just so many different variables. We don't know how drag works really. Like we don't really understand it all that well. Like we understand some like broad principles about how drag works, but we don't understand the details of it. Okay, so we have 1,800 meters per second left, and that's a 1,700 meters per second burn. That is all my fuel right there. How much more do I need? I have 300 packed on board. Might be able to do this. Might be close. Okay. We're just going to lock... We're not going to have enough fuel for this, but we're going to do it anyway. How excited am I for the new SR2 campaign mode? Probably a 9 or a 10. Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like the official campaign mode for Simple Rockets 2 is what this game needs. Okay, we're going to activate this here in a second. I believe a polar orbit is the best orbit to do this in. I'm going to time warp, let this thing run for a while. 30% of the way through the burn. Here we go. We're doing pretty good. $80, $60, 70%. Okay, I'm going to kill my engines now. Because we're in orbit. We've got 1% of this fuel tank left. 123 meters per second of delta V left on the stage. That's fine. We're super close to our desired orbit anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the last little bit of fuel on this thing to raise my periapsis just a bit. Oh no, we're still a little ways off. Never mind. We're up here at 2,000. I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, we're going to activate our spectrometer now. Did that do anything? No? Alright, that's fine. We'll hand calculate our spectrometer, I've decided. What's our orbit? We're at 81.5 and 2066. So we'll do that after the mission, find out how much science we gathered. Let's go around here. I'm going to trash can that maneuver node. Point retrograde. Nope, point prograde. Because I want to raise my periapsis here. Okay. Just going to throttle up. Okay, kill throttle, go retrograde. We're going to time warp around to the periapsis now. We'll throttle all the way up. That's the last of my fuel. All right, we're at 12,000. Separate our probe. And yeah, this guy should actually have enough to get us there. We're going to time warp around. Right there. We're going to do it in a series of short burns to lower our apoapsis with this tiny little motor right there. As long as we get it close, as long as we get down to like within 200 or 300. What does it mean when your orbit line has a red gradient? You know, I have seen that, and I've never heard an answer. Here is my theory, because I've thought about that a lot too. Like, what the heck? Why is it red over here and it like changes color? I think it has to do with eccentricity for plan maneuvers. So like how far, either it's the eccentricity of your actual orbit, which I don't think is actually the case, because then once your plan maneuver is over, it just goes back to the solid blue one. There is a gradient that, I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but the side of your orbit path that you are currently moving towards is higher, is a lighter color than the side that you're moving to. It's like right there, you see it's light blue and then dark blue, and you can tell by the gradient which direction I'm traveling. So that's one gradient that is in the game. Okay, we have half our fuel tank left. I'm gonna throttle up again. We'll make the rest of this burn. Maybe not make the rest of this burn here, but we'll make most of it, and then we'll do just a few adjustments. But this has so far been a mission success, and barring this thing actually exploding, we're going to go ahead and take the $15 million profit for it. So what I'm guessing is the red gradient tells you how far off your plan burn is from your, like how far off your actual burn is, or your actual, like, not your burn, but your actual orbital path is from your desired trajectory, basically. That's my guess. That's a good question for the devs, though. Might ask them. All right, 30% of the fuel tank left, and we're almost at 400 kilometers apoapsis. Not a bad orbit at all. Beautiful swirling ice caps of Siloro. And then this last stage, it says that it's all this, but it's actually just the booms, which if I activate those, they'll shoot off. I don't want that to happen. We're not going to do that. All right, 15%. We're at 300 kilometers. I'm going to time warp forward here. 200. We'll warp away. Whoop, overshot it. What would the ion engine actually be good for? That's a great question. I actually just recorded a video on how to use ion engines. And I use an ion engine to get from low Drew orbit to Brigo. Yeah, Nova orbital adjustments is probably the best thing to use them for in most cases. You can get it. You can use an ion engine though to make to do like actual maneuvers in space, like going to different planets and stuff. You can absolutely do that. But yeah, in real life and more reasonably, ion engines are just used to make teeny tiny little correction burns once you're in space. So we are in a stable polar orbit over Siloro. That is us. And you know, while we're here, we've got something actually around Siloro now. I'm going to rename it one. One of these things I'm controlling. I think this one, right? Yeah. We're going to call this Siloro Sursat 1. Survey Satellite 1. What's this guy? Oh, lander. Oh, wait, no. You know what? I bet these guys... These were from videos. I'm going to delete them because they're not actually part of the campaign mode. This guy, what do we think this guy is? Because I remember I used this world to do some videos. Let's take control of this guy. What do we think this guy is? I hope it's not a spoiler. What is this guy? This might be our actual probe that we sent by earlier. Yeah, this is the probe we sent by earlier. So we're going to rename this one. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Where is it? Let's rename this guy. Would they be accurate, overshoot, or undershoot a lot? Of course, if not, then that's pretty somewhat useful. Luna base will be expanded by the time SR2 gets an official campaign. Yeah. So would they be accurate? They're extremely accurate. Spade's question, if I understand what you're asking correctly, so they exert about as much force as a piece of paper sitting in your hand. So if you hold, not even, this is too much paper. If you hold a single piece of paper in your hand, right, and there's the force of gravity pulling that piece of paper down onto your hand, the weight of that paper in newtons, right? Like we think of weight, like I'm 200 pounds. That's not actually a mass. That is a unit of force. Pounds is a unit of force. But like, because the imperial system sucks, it's also a unit of mass, and there's a ton of weird conversions you have to do. Yeah, ion engines have they have millinewtons of force. But so that makes them very accurate because it takes a long time for them to make a small amount of change in your velocity. So you could, like, if you needed to change your orbit just a little bit, you'd have to do like a 5-minute long burn. Yeah, generally recommended for stuff like GPS satellites, small size space stations. Yeah, I don't think we don't use them on the space station. Those are all reaction control systems. Okay, what are we naming this one? We're going to name this one Siloro Flyby Sat. We'll just name Siloro Flyby. And then hold on, Siloro Survey Sat. This one, we're calling this the Boom. The Boom satellite in honor of Boom. There's your name. It's right there. What else? There's a couple other like new objects. Let's see. Oh, these guys can go away. That was for video as well. That's garbage. Command center can stay. Siloro, drone ship. That's the thing. Drew. Okay. That is a successful mission. Luna base. That's the launch location, right? Yeah. What was this guy? Hold on. We're gonna grab this guy real quick. China wants to put ion engines. I mean, yeah, ion engines would work for a space station if you had. I mean, they would work. You don't need a ton of force. Oh, right. That was the little CubeSat we launched for the lunar probe. Let's rename this guy LoonSat 1. We'll call him LoonSat 1. LoonSat 1. Okay. All right, let's move on. I'm going to pull up the bank sheet. And let's take a look at what we're doing here. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so we have our bank sheet and we have the research tree. So let's take a look at the bank sheet. We just made 15 million. And how much did that rocket cost? Okay, hold on. Save and exit. Successfully put a satellite in orbit around Siloro. That's awesome. That was 7.3 million. I'm going to guess 7.3 million. Yes, I was right. 7.3 million for that rocket. 7,300. And that was negative, not positive. That cost us that much money. And what were we going to call it? We're going to call that the Boom. We'll just call it the Boom. But then we gained 15 million from completing the contract. So that is, we'll fill that with the light yellow. And then fill that with the light green. Siloro Surveyor. All right, that is a successful contract completed. We have $22.5 million to work with. And oh, let's go and take a look at how much data we collected from that. I'm going to pull up a calculator real quick. So, when we activated the spectrometer, we had a periapsis of 81.5 kilometers and an apoapsis of 2,066 kilometers. So I'm going to grab this guy. That's a craft cost science calculator, seismometer, not seismometer, spectrometer. Siloro spectrometer. We had an apoapsis of 22066,123 and a periapsis of 81.5. That gives us 11 science points. It seems low. Yeah, that's about it. That's 11 science points. Okay, so we got 11 science points from that. Not a ton, but okay. So let's go to the bank again. We can track that on our bank, which is over here. So on, we'll call it the boom spectrometer, gave us 11 science points. So we have 80 science points total in our science budget. That's still not enough to get us anything. So we could spend, there's a couple of different things we could do here. We could spend some of our money and launch a non-contract mission just to make some science, just to do some research. Totally an option. Or we could pursue more money. Because we've got a lot of stuff unlocked. Let's see. 150 science points. We would unlock the pressure fed cycles, which is nice. Stage fuel cycles are nice. Build rovers, basic biological experiments. So like that would allow us to do a lot more science. We could also, I think we can afford laboratories. You know what, let's do that. We're going to buy the laboratories. Wrong shade. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go for laboratories for 20. We're going to launch a laboratory. I have decided it. We're going to launch a laboratory and make some science by running a lab. Where is it? There it is. Laboratories. And it's a minus 20 science points. All right, so we have 60 science points left. We have unlocked laboratories. Let's launch a laboratory, right? So let's switch back to the game scene here. Please. Thank you. What is a laboratory? A laboratory is any like permanent infrastructure we launch, and it's going to let us collect science over time consistently. And the way it does that is the amount of money that we use to fund the lab's operations is going to increase the amount of science we get per day. Let me find the actual rule book, and I will read specifically what it does for us. That's the wrong one. I grabbed the wrong rule book. It's this one. This is the version that we're looking for. All right, scroll down or pull up the key over here. Laboratories. All right. So location influences how much you have to pay per science point. And I think you can get up to... No, there's no upper limit. So it's just however much you want to pay. So if we put it on Luna's surface, it's $3,000 per science point per day. If we put it on the surface of another planet, it's half that. If we put it in orbit around another planet, it's 2,000. If we just built a laboratory on Drew's surface, it would cost $7,500, which is expensive. We do have other options. We could do ground observatories. For a ground observatory, it's $20,000 per radio dish, and then the number of radio dishes you build increases the amount of science you get by a factor of 10 minus 5. So 10 times the number of ground observatories we build minus 5. That's one way we could spend all of our money. we could also do a space telescope. A space telescope is 15 science points per day, but it's a fixed amount, and it doesn't give you any more. You can't adjust it, which is why laboratories are nicer. What do you guys think? Should we do a space telescope? Could we build a ground observatory? Or should we build a space laboratory? Let's make a vote. What should we do? What should we build? I'm personally leaning towards the ground observatory, but the space telescope could also be good. If we do the laboratory, we have to hire staff. Space lab. Ask the community. All right, vote in the poll what you guys think we should do for this mission. Should we do space lab, space telescope, ground observatory? What do you guys think? I see one for ground observatory. In the meantime, let's start. Let's save this craft. We're going to save this as ISS SR2 CM Siloro launcher. That'll do. Ground observatory for 100%. One person has voted. I've got one vote for ground observatory, so I'm going to start building a ground observatory unless a bunch of people vote the other way. We're going to start with an airplane, because we need to make it mobile. Oh, 50-50 for space telescope. Hold on, it's a race now. Someone else vote. Someone else vote. What should we do? Space lab? Anyone for space lab? I would totally be down to launch a space telescope. I think I have some space telescopes. Hold on. Telescope. Yes, I think I do. So that's one. I have two different models. I like the smaller one, honestly. This bigger one was kind of lame. Did I have a camera on this guy? No, I didn't even have a camera. Well, hold on. We need to put a camera on this guy. Come on, somebody else vote. Somebody else vote for me. We're 50-50. We're dead split. Ground observatory's got 2 votes. All right, we're going to keep moving in the ground observatory direction. So what do we need for a ground observatory? Well, we could build a giant stationary telescope is one option. That could be cool. Put a camera on it. That could be cool. Let's start by throwing all of this away because we don't need any of it. Actually, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to load up. No, I don't need that. What is that? That's something old I built. Let's load up this little rover here. 1 vote for Space Lab. All right, that's good. We got 1 vote for Space Lab. I'm going to load up this rover. If we're going to build a ground observatory, the first thing we need to do is choose where we're going to build a ground observatory. So there's 2 different kinds of ground observatories we can build. We can build a telescope style one, or we can build like a bunch of radio antennas. The radio antennas are cheaper, but we would have to build more of them. Oh, I gotta go to bed. All right, well, I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Sleep well. Yeah, we're gonna do the ground observatory. I think that's been pretty much decided. Gonna throttle up on this guy. Get rolling here. All right, I'm gonna close the poll. Seems like you guys have spoken, all 3 of you. And we're rolling now. We need to scout out a good location for our ground observatory. So that's what we're doing right now. We're scouting out. Whoa. I'm losing control of this thing. We're going too fast. All right. We could do it right here, like on the side of the runway. Telescope is definitely not a death laser. That's definitely not how they work. Build it right here. I'm thinking that's the move, is build it out here. Oops, didn't mean to change my camera. I just wanted to hit the brakes. There we go. Okay. So if we're going to build it right here, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do save location, ISS observatory. We're going to call it a radio observatory specifically. There's 5. Oh, 5 votes? No, there's 4 votes. Or are you talking about the number of people in the stream? How many people are here right now? 5? Everyone going to bed? No, there's 6 people here. You lied. Unless you're not counting yourself. Alright, we're gonna build it right here. Undo an exit. I don't need that row over there actually. I just needed it to mark the location. So let's build, we'll build one radio telescope and then we'll just build a bunch of copies of it and connect them. So let's start with a rocket, I guess. And we're not going to use anything but this one little command module set as the primary. That can go and that can go. Go back. There we go. Don't need any fuel. Let's see, how big should our base be? If we did a 2.5 meter base, and then 3 meters tall? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Right there. Okay, that might be still a little too chunky. Let's do 2. Let's do 4. 5. Okay. That looks a little bit better proportions-wise. So we've got, this will be the foundation. And we're at $74,000. That's actually a fairly reasonable price for what we're looking at. $74,000 in steel, basically. Okay, so that's our foundation. Now we need to add a rotator for this next part. Where is it? Here it is. Rotator. Range 180 degrees. That'll stay as slider 1. We'll make that activation group 1. Then we're going to make another fuel tank here. No! Please cooperate, please. There we go. Alright, so that's there. I'm going to scoot this guy down just a hair. Just a little bit, just like that. Okay. So this is the top of our rotating section. Now what we're going to do, now I want this to come off, because what we're going to do is we're going to add, not struts, but structural panels. No, actually, maybe it'd be better to attach them to the side of the tank. Yeah, well, let's do that. Do two-way symmetry, and we'll rotate this guy into position for the next thing, which is the hinge rotator that the rest of the antenna is going to sit on. Let's shrink these guys down. Like that. Nope. Like that. Bring that in. No! Shoot, didn't mean to grab it there. Come on, cooperate, please. 3, okay. Now let's slide it in. We're going to grab a hinge rotator. Rotate it around 90 degrees. Like that. And then bring him up. I'm going to actually make him big with an extended base. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want it to look like it's big and has an extended base. Now, this guy's actually too small. We're going to widen him so that this side... No! Keep doing that. Undo. Keep grabbing the wrong thing. There we go. Bring that out to there. Bring that out to there. We'll bring these all the way to the edge, actually. It says you started streaming 2 minutes ago. Weird. I definitely didn't. I started streaming almost an hour ago exactly. Okay. That is the base of our rotating section. And for this hinge motor, we're going to have it work on slider 2 and activation group 2. Now we need the bottom of our actual radar base here. Gaming YouTube's buffering. Oh, is it buffering? No. My output's not buffering, at least. If there's buffering, it's on your end. It's not on my end, thankfully. That's been an issue in past streams, so I'm glad that we've had relatively good luck with our streams recently. Okay, so we'll have these guys. Just like a disc, basically. Is that going to clip? That might clip. We could make it narrower, I suppose. And then taller, so it won't clip. That's my idea, at least. That might work. Okay, that should work. Now we're going to do, for the rest of it... Oh, that's not going to work, is it? All right. We're going to go with the fuel tank, because I just realized the strut part won't work. The struts don't connect to inlets for some reason. Okay, we're going to auto-resize from here. Maybe stretch that out more, stretch that out more, and then stretch that out. Nice big parabolic antenna. Let's do seamless edges for all of this. Make it look nice. And then we're going to do no texture. I guess we could do a texture. No, that looks pretty good, actually. Is this going to have science equipment on board? No, it is the science equipment. So I'll talk a little bit about how we handle space infrastructure with this game. Oh yeah, it does that too sometimes. You have to refresh the page because it like doesn't necessarily update right away that the stream actually has been going for some time. It's harmless at least. Okay. Grab, replicate, auto resize off, shrink this down. And we're gonna do the little reflector here. Let's make that fuel tank as small as we can. Does not need to be big at all. There we go. Nope, 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 not you. You. Yes. Okay. Now if I... if I rotate it like this... Here's an idea. Like that. Just spitballing here. But then if I resized this guy to be... That's too small. If I resize this guy to be half that... And then this guy to be like that. Does that work? For what I'm trying to do? Does that look right? I think this post is too long, or too short, but that's pretty obvious. Alright, hold on. These are actually getting in the way now. There we go. Okay. Nope. Resize tool. Let's go 1.4 meters. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then if I grab the translate tool and move that, and then made that totally black. What if my computer's time? It's definitely not doing that. Okay, how does that look for an initial tower? Oh, you know what? Zooming out here, I see that everything is way out of proportion here. This dish needs to be so much bigger. I see that now immediately. So we're going to adjust these to be a lot bigger. That's closer. Let's grab this guy, make him wider, and then grab this guy, make him wider. Okay, now I'm trying to get that parabolic shape. And if I make the top narrower now, that's pretty close to a parabolic. I think that'll do. Let's try it out. I'm going to send it to the launch location. And I'm calculating through time and actually 1 hour before you. You're definitely not 1 hour before me. Well, I don't know what time zone. Where are you? What time zone are you in? Because that determines where you are temporally relatively to me. Or we could talk. Do you mean like, is your position physically? Am I sure? I have no idea what time zone you're in. I don't know. You could be ahead of me or behind me. It's 6:15 where I am living right now. So if that tells you where I am. Okay, let's see how well this works. Slider 1 rotates it, and slider 2, woohoo! I think it moves too fast and the base is too light. Hold on, I think we can flip it. Oh, we broke it. Oh, we just straight up broke it. Okay, hold on. Some things need to be adjusted here. I see that now. You may see that as a failure, and if you see what just happened there as a failure, then you're right. It was a failure. But that's why we prototype things. I'm going to make this a little wider. It kind of looks the wrong size now. And then there's no fuel, and these are actually fairly heavy compared to the base here. So we're going to add some dead weight to all of these. And then I'm going to tinker panel. And this doesn't really count as cheating because I'm just making the masses more proportional here. Mass scale this up. Just making it more realistic, guys. That's all I'm doing here. Literally an hour behind, not in time zone. Oh, well, so you're never like... that's a good question. It's not a matter of you being ahead of me. Like, things still happen at the same time. It's just perception of when they happened changes a little bit. Yeah, flipped it, that's for sure. Yeah. Okay, so we've adjusted that. We also need to adjust this guy. And you know what? I've decided I don't like this design, so we're going to trade that out. But this can stay. We're going to make that like 2.5 meters now. That's better. And then what we're going to do is I've got that. I'm going to make a copy of it. That didn't work. Go over there for a second, please. Make this longer, maybe. What the hell? Why is that even allowed? Hold on. All right, part connections. Turn you off. Top shell, bottom shell, all going off. Connect to the side. There we go. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to... where is my resize tool? What the hell? Why can't I resize things? Tower being offset triggers my every bone. It's fine. Why can't I resize these, though? Oh. There we go. I figured it out. My resize gizmos were gone. There we go. I'm going to shrink that down. I'm going to shrink that down. And then we're going to make the corners of this. 2 of them we're going to... Not that one. That one and that one. 2 and 3. And then this one should be 2 and... Nope. Oh. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Boom. Now it's flush like that. And I like how that looks. That doesn't look stupid to me. Then we're going to have this guy, who's just going to be a 1. And he's going to be wider and deeper. Kind of like that. All right, so that's the receiving dish right there. Or at least that's the idea. And then let's paint all of that black, and we'll paint that white. And then we're going to take this guy. Whoops. Yeah, but the sure, the chat's like slightly behind, but the chat's not behind time literally. Okay. That's a start for our observatory here. Let's try that. How's that going to work? Is that going to explode? We're about to find out, everyone. Did I say I said boom again? Whoops. I keep saying it. Oh no. All right. So now we can control it that way. Does that clip? I can limit the range of freedom on that though. So that's a radar tower, and that looks fairly good, honestly. We'll make a couple more adjustments, and then we're going to add the rest of them. You should use the shock part as part of the antenna. It'll look like wires going to pull. Ooh. Oh, someone. Mr. Ideas over here coming up with stuff. I'll give that a shot. That actually does sound like a good idea. So we're going to grab this. Not that much. Part connections, turn them all on for that. Shock part. Okay. What do you hope the campaign mode will come with other than science equipment? Because that's an obvious one. That's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I've been thinking about doing like a campaign mode breakdown video. How does that look? Hold on. I'm not sure if I like how that looks, honestly. Yeah, I don't think I like that. It was a good idea, but the part just doesn't actually live up to it. I think we're just going to stick with this for now. There's one more thing that we need to do, though. And that's adjust the range here and way cut down the speed of these. So we're going to do 60 degrees of freedom on this guy, and then the rotator, which is kind of buried in here. Come on, give it to me, give it to me. There we go. Way down as well. Okay. I think we're ready. So we're going to copy and select these. And I'm going to turn all off and then just the base on. 0. And then let's level them, make sure they're the same height. How many of these should we do? Could we do, we could do 5 of them. What do you guys think? I think I'm the comedic relief in these streams. Yeah, you could be the comedic relief. All right. So here's the idea. But they're all at different angles. That's the one problem, is I would have to break symmetry. This isn't bad. We could maybe spread them out a little bit more. This isn't bad, but we would need to adjust this a little bit, because they all need to be rotated to the same angle. Yeah, they're all different. So we would set these all to 0 so that they point in the same direction. 7, or we could do fewer. That'd be 6. 4. So do you mean 4 around like that, or do you mean 4 total? There's a big difference here. The more we do, based on this equation, the more we do, the more efficient it is per science point, right? So it's $20,000 per telescope, and then 10 minus 10 times the number of telescopes. So if we did 7 times 10 minus 5 is 65, and then 7 times 20,000 is 14,000. So 65 divided by 14,000, that's 140,000. No, 140,000 divided by 65 gets us 2,153 per. So no, I want to do more than 4 around, right? Because that's 4 around. I want to do as many as possible. So this would cost $1 million to set up. We could do. That's 7, and that gives us. It would cost. It's $2,153 per science point if we did 7. But if we did less, that's the thing, right? So let's say we did 4 rounds. So that's 5 total times 10 minus 5, and then divide that by $20,000 per day per telescope times 5 telescopes. No, I keep doing that wrong. 20,000 times 5 divided by 45. That's $2,222 per. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is we could do 8x. I think 6 might be a good number though. We're gonna do 6. We're gonna have 7 total telescopes. I like how that looks, honestly, and I think diminishing returns is gonna set in here pretty soon. I'm gonna break symmetry. Actually, no. Before I break symmetry, we're gonna mass scale these bases up a little bit more, like all the way, Make them really heavy, so they don't. I don't want them to wobble. That's the big thing. Okay, we're gonna break symmetry on this part. And then we're going to correct the angle for each of these. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That one's 0. That was the original one. 0, 0, 0. Okay, they're all 0, and it's $1 million. It is exactly $1 million to set this up. I think that's a good number. That's a good place to start. So let's launch it, and then let's see if they actually track the way they need to. Oh, and we need solar panels on these guys. I just realized. So we can add some solar panels. Did I make it floppy on accident? I might have made it floppy on accident. Oops. Yeah, I wish we could have like 8x options as well. You can do it manually. You can do higher degrees of symmetry, like 4x4, and then or like basically double any of the numbers. So with 4 you can get 8, with 5 you can get 10, and with 6 you can get 12. You just have to offset them by the degree offset, or half the degree offset. That's the trick. That's the only thing you have to do. Yeah, we set it to floppy. 10%. Oh no, they're all set to floppy now, aren't they? Okay, we're going to correct this. We're going to add solar panels. We're going to call this done. That's 3 of the 7. That's 4 of the 7. 5. 6. Oh, too far. And that's 7. Okay, let's add some solar panels. Here's what I'm going to do. Just going to copy this guy for now. Scale him up. Can I get the difference, please? Yes, there we go. Doesn't need to be very wide. He's not going anywhere. And then we're going to add a solar array, just a big ol', one big single solar array should be enough for this guy. Two-way symmetry. And then rows go way out. And that's plenty. Okay, so we're at 1.1. That was an extra 100,000. But the solar array is important. We're going to need it. And we'll stick it over there. So we've got a little solar panel here. We'll set those as pre-deployed. None. Start open. And then let's do the advanced. I like the advanced better than the hex, honestly. Okay, so that is it. We're going to launch it. We're going to put it out there. We're going to save it. That will be our ground observatory. We have successfully built a ground observatory here. There's our solar panels powering it. We have no batteries, I just realized. That's fine. We didn't really need batteries. These work without them. Do they work without them? Yeah, they work. Very slowly. Okay, so let's pitch it all the way over. Let's see these guys in action. Maybe 4 times speed, because I just realized, maybe going a little too slow. Tracking, tracking, tracking. Tracking, tracking, tracking. Beautiful. And we can move them to whatever place in the sky we want to point them. Eventually they will point there. But I just realized this actually needs to be pointing down because they're pointing like backwards. They need to be pointing forwards. There we go. All right, the Boom Observatory. No, you already got one named after you. We are going to name it. We're not going to name it the Boom Observatory. We're going to call it the Jonathan Winters Observatory. Jonathan, or no, new. Jonathan Winters Radio Observatory. All right, so that's done. We're going to end flight, save and exit. That's the place built. Looks good. Let's go to the bank, and we're going to update our bank to match reality now. So we built that for 1.1 million. Negative 100,000 million. The Jonathan Winters Radio Observatory. That's a negative $1 million. It's an expensive project, but it's well worth it. And then it's going to be, we said 20,000 per 7, so that's 140,000 in the bases category. JWRO for negative $140,000. So that's coming into our expenses right there. So that's another price point. Oh wait, did that not get added? Hold on, something's not being calculated here. This, what is this equal to? The sum of E5 to E19. Oh, hold on. Nope, that needs to be a positive number. There we go. All right, $408,000 a week in revenue. That's how profitable our space program currently is with our satellite constellations in deployment. But we are now getting 20 science per day, which is super sweet. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this night's live stream. Glad you guys could make it. Oh my gosh, is there a dark mode? The Excel sheet looks like Discord light mode. Yeah, well, it is an Excel sheet, so that's what it looks like. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. We do have a video coming out tomorrow for how to do Visi for Dummies. So for those who've been requesting that, that is coming. We've got more of those planned for the future, and I've got another one coming out later this week on how to use ion engines. So be on the lookout for those 2 videos this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a good night. Take care, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye, guys.